Daar kom tye in die geskiedenis van nasies dat 'n keuse gemaak moet word tussen onaangename alternatiewe.
Racial segregation.
That neither the international community at large will dictate to us what the contents of our political program should be.
Separated from whites socially and politically, they entered the 70s as they had entered all previous decades.
I'm not prepared to talk to people who want revolutionary change.
That was a stage of high apartheid.
And I think it exposes you to a different reality that we had in South Africa at that stage, which created a different awareness, I think.
And here we were, a bunch of 20-something black and white guys, actually just bonding. We liked each other, we respected each other, and we played rugby. We found ourselves playing in Gugulethu, and Kayamandi, and Mbukweni.
And we found a place where we could live out an alternative point of view, that they didn't quite fit in the political and societal norms of that time.
Maar ook op daai stadium dink ek was daar 'n besef, veral hier in die laat 80s was daar besef onder studente, dat verskillende groepe begin aanduiding gee dat hulle dink dat die einde van apartheid moet naby wees.
It just cemented the fact to me that rugby is such a great sport in bringing people together. John Donaldson and I met in my first year. I don't know whether it was John's first year. And I think one night in the Akker pub in Stellenbosch, we were talking to the chap behind the bar called Mascot, who was quite a formidable prop. And we wanted to speak about playing rugby together. And then John just said, he's got a couple of friends who want to play rugby. And Mascot said, well, I've got a couple of friends and I'm living in Kayamandi, the Black Township. Why don't we get together and do some rugby?
Yeah, at a time when there were a lot of political changes on campus. The new SAS was established for the first time, the end conscription campaign. So all sorts of political students' movements that were prevalent mostly on English campuses in the country were started here in those, around about that time, 85, 86.
The team was named the Akkers because that's kind of, I remember John once said to me, these 4 walls are the best 4 walls in the world. So the Akker was the place that we felt like home.
And Con and I discussed a lot of politics, and so we weren't active in NUSAS or ECC and so on, but we were politically aware. The Akker was a big breeding ground for our thoughts and ideas. And we had a lot of discussions, very late in our discussions over a bottle or 2 of Tassenberg.
The Akker was one of 4 pubs in Stellenbosch, which the students came to. So we had tourists during the day, students at night.
But at that time, people realized how big this can be and how important it can be to cross racial and other boundaries. So I do think that people thought about it deeply, but it takes time to change.
I went to Pretoria schools for most of my secondary education, and was an incredibly conservative environment. We always had this sort of rift among white people in the country, the liberal South versus the conservative North. And although it was not really liberal, especially the Afrikaans environment, but it was more sort of enlightened. And up north. It was in the winter of 1985, and it all started in the Akker. I befriended the barman there, Aubrey Mokoena, and we started talking rugby, and it was during a state of emergency that was declared more or less the same period.
Yeah, Johnny used to come here drinking, and then we talk about rugby. Then I was playing rugby, I was playing for Viva Rugby Club in Kukuletu, Nyanga Kukuletu. Then we talk about forming a team. So they say they don't want to play for the university team. They want to play in the township. Or they started to form that non-racial team in Stellenbosch University.
And that was basically when we started talking about, getting a rugby club off the ground for the first time. So there was no political agenda or ideology or whatever behind it, except for a common feeling of gutfulness that we experienced in the country back then.
I think a rebellious streak in a lot of the guys who played in anything the authorities didn't like, in saying, well, if it's not allowed, let's go do it.
So it's normal people who were courageous enough to do something, and being part of that and knowing their integrity deep down, that I will always cherish.
Right, that was one of the first shots taken at the Akker. And then we talked to the owner, Henry Meyer, at the time, and we floated the idea with him, and he thought it was good. And he decided to sponsor us 2 crates of beer a week, one for the Wednesday practice and one for the post-match on Saturday or Sunday. Feels like yesterday.
I had people come to see me, locals living in this area, who actually made an appointment with me to come and see me, who used to come and drink in the bar, men, just tell me that what I'm doing, I'm going to lose my business because of that.
Stellenbosch was like a melting pot of people from all over the country, with obviously a bias towards, people from the Western Cape. In the Akker, we were all like-minded kind of people, but outside the Akker sphere, it was quite a contrast. People were more conservative.
When I met the right people, and that's mostly Akker players or people associated with the Akker pub, that absolutely crystallized my ideas about the whole situation. So whilst it was strange to visit in a black township, it wasn't that uncomfortable. It was like you felt welcome.
This was a letter right in the beginning addressed to Dr. Die Akker, informing him in writing about our aims and objectives. The sports manager of the university at the time was a former Springbok rugby player who was part of the establishment, and he called me in one day and he gave me a lecture for close on an hour. The bottom line of the lecture was that we must try to get out of the national press because it didn't reflect good on the university, in the sense that their sponsors, the more conservative corporate entities, asked the university questions like, what's going on here now? It was sort of against the rules back then.
And Stellenbosch, you could not have there was not a non-racial rugby team. Stellenbosch, this whole rugby narrative was dealt into the white rugby segment of South Africa. We decided to approach Dr. Die Akker. Now, Dr. Die Akker is recognized as one of the world's great rugby authorities, great leaders, great rugby personalities. And we just decided if we were going to make this multiracial Stellenbosch rugby team fly, the only way we're going to do it is go straight to the top and get approval from Dr. Craven. And then Doc, he just looked at us. It was a look of, I think, bewilderment. And if I might say so, a bit of admiration as well. I think he'd never been approached with this idea before.
As I stepped into his office, he just said to me, "Moet jy nie steur aan die rubbish nie," meaning the pressure from the establishment groups, because he had gone through that and he knew them inside out and he knew how to play them. So we obviously listened to him and not to the sports manager.
And from then onwards, we had Stellenbosch had a multiracial rugby team called the Akkers.
We started playing friendly matches. We played 2 matches that year. I think mostly the guys coming from the more conservative areas in the country. It was something totally new for them. It was like a real learning curve for them.
This must have been our home ground, called Stellenbosch. Didn't allow competition sports on the fields on Sunday. So yes, we came here a lot.
For me, one of those 2 games, I was the only white guy in the team, and me and John Donaldson, the only 2 white people in the stadium. It was a remarkable experience. It was something that you will remember forever.
We felt so safe. We were accepted so nicely, and no animosity. The games were tough, but afterwards I had a beer with the boys.
As 3 foto's wat ek nog altyd het daar by die huis. Van whites only wat ons hou. Al die memories wat ek nog het daar by die huis.
10, 15 minutes before the game, we would usually figure out one move that was a stunning move, and it would either come off or it won't come off. And so that was our kingpin move for the game. And you know, if we can get that done and score a try, then we're okay. So it wasn't to win; it was just got to have fun. It was a bunch of unpolished diamonds, really.
All of us trusted each other as individuals, and I think for me the most important part is that we accepted each other for who and what we were.
Yeah, that was at the practice, Kayamandi.
So I went practicing with my local town rugby team, and when they found out that who I play for and that it's a multiracial rugby team, they kicked me off the field and said, you're not allowed to practice with us. So those things just brings about a certain level of awareness of what was happening in the country at that stage. So for myself, it turned from a social thing more in a political statement as well.
Ja, dit het vir my begin as 'n sosiale ding, maar natuurlik was daar ook 'n politieke element wat in jou agterkop was. Maar ook daar was ook 'n alberegsheid daarin, want ek het gevoel dat jy weet daai tyd in die middel 80s was 'n baie onstuimige tyd soos ons almal weet in Suid-Afrika. En die idee van ook om iets te doen wat die autoriteite nie van gaan hou nie en om deel te neem aan 'n rugby en weet in townships en so aan is 'n manier vir my ook om te wys dat ek ander tipe Suid-Afrika ondersteun waar almal kan saam gedoen.
No, we never really looked at it as a black and white thing. It was just a bunch of guys getting together, playing on Sundays, playing in the Black Township, playing in the Black League. And through the development of this team, playing games and more people being interested, we got together one day and said, listen, why not do a tour?
Okay, now we're on tour. It was a post-match function after the first match against the Die Akker 15 in Pretoria.
Ja, eendag is Mel en Bouts en John was almal buite aksie gewees en toe vra hulle vir my of ek die manne bymekaar sal kom kry, die bus sal ons kom haal en ek sê toe reël toe alles en sê ons gaan 'n uur later gaan want al die wedstryde is altyd 'n uur of 2 laat gewees. Dan sit ons nou daar en ek sê vir die ouens ons slaap maar nog so 'n uurtjie langer. Toe ons daar kom, dis hulle die een enkele game wat hulle almal betyds is. Toe ons nou daar aankom, toe sê hulle laat vir hulle vir ons dan moer. Hierdie klomp soos wat hulle laat wag. Anyway, het ek nou 'n rooi gesig gehad daai dag.
Hy het amper die trip self gespoil. Amper. Maar die ander span, die ander ouens wat hulle sê hulle kan daar toe sê hulle nee, hulle sal nie aangaan nie. Ons moet ook want ons loop saam. Hulle kan nie nou nie vir ons in die middel sê julle kan nie inkom nie, julle kan inkom. Toe sien ons maar ons het daar astekens wat ons gaan sien het, want hier loop ons is 'n span. Daar het hy ons afgebreekie, want wat het gemaak dat hy nie as afbreekie, as ons spanmaats staan saam met ons. Hulle sê, die mense slaap al wat ons slaap. As hulle nie daar slaap nie, dan kan ons ook nie daar slaap nie.
This was in Durban one early morning. I think it was around 3, 4 o'clock in the morning after party. This was taken in our place of stay inside the Harry Oppenheimer Stadium in Orkney.
Ons was die curtain-raiser vir die Oos-Vrystaat, Noord-Vrystaat game, ja. En hulle het gespeel teen OP en Dani Gerber, ons almal se held was in daai span en hulle het ook gebly in hierdie hotel. En ek dink vir een of ander rede dalk het die locals besef hier's 'n groot multiracial ding aan die gebeur by die hotel want daar het baie mense opgedag. Daai plek was vol. Nou jy sal nog baie hoor oor die singery wat gebeur het, maar ons het Shawse Losa begin sing. En dan het dit hard geraak en dan het jy soort van die gevoel gekry, oh fuck, ons mag jy eintlik hierdie ding hierso sing nie. Daar word het stil en dan call iemand weer daar van die ander kant af, Shawse Losa. En dan het weer begin en dit het seker vir 20 minute, halfuur gegaan, ja.
This is an article that appeared in Sunday Times in April 1986 that really put us on the spot. It's like a half page in the biggest selling newspaper in Africa. And it sort of taught me you can do things that you really sort of believe in, dream in and so on. It started out of nothing in a smoky pub and we almost made it big time. Eddie Brooks from Stellenbosch, Louis de Villiers, one of the characters in the group, the late Sipho Mkalipi, Philip Myburg, the legendary George Noble, the late George Noble.
George was maar altyd die een wat as ons reguit loop, hy moes maar en die Akker was mos maar ook nie was nie altyd 'n span wat reguit geloop het nie. So ek dink hy het mooi gefit daar.
Conjubert, the late Johan Leroux was a brilliant winger. Willem Scholes, prop forward, and Lemoene Smit, scrum half. This is a picture of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13 Springboks that we invited to our 7-a-side day. We played hosts to clubs from all over the country and the Springboks were our special guests.
You know, we had one, again, exhibition game against some old Springboks in the really early days, and that was played here on the Kutsenberg field, you know, which the university must have somehow agreed to, presumably also because of the luminaries involved.
The Sevens tournament that we hosted or that we had was after the tour that we did, and so, you know, we've obviously became very notorious, and there was a lot of goodwill from Mornay's side to be able to bring all these guys together for us to play against them. And you know, even at 40, a Springbok is still a formidable player, and so it was quite challenging.
This was a report in Die Matie after the 7-a-side tournament. That was the only coverage we received in the Stellenbosch newspaper, Die Akker XV. The Afrikaans media ignored us to a very large extent. Basically, this was the only article that appeared in the biggest newspaper in the Western Cape, Die Burger, and it was published in Burger Extra, which was for non-white readers. But we never really got into nationale medias. They were part of the establishment at that stage. Daar was altyd die roemer gewees dat daar 'n veiligheidspolisie agent geplant was in die klub. Die spelers 'n bietjie begin suspisieus raak teenoor mekaar en so aan. En ons kon dit nooit bewys nie. Ons soek finansies om 'n brosjure bymekaar te stel. 30 bladsye A4 glossy brochure wat ons wou die korporatiewe wêreld ingestuur het. Die Akker uit 'n finansiële oogpunt uit basies op 'n soliede fondasie gewees het vir jare en iemand kon dit selfs miskien voltyds bestuur het. Toe in 1987 het hoe dit daai tyd gewerk het, jy 'n advertensie in 'n tydskrif plaas en kry jy foto negatives. Dit is nou die materiaal die kunsmateriaal wat hulle gebruik om die advertensie mee op te maak en om dit te druk. En ons het dit alles bymekaar gehad en dit was in 'n stoorkamer gewees by 'n plek waar 'n paar van ons gebly het en toe dit net mysteriously weggeraak. En dit het my hart soort van gebreek op daai stadium want ons het enorme energie en geld gespandeer om die land te deurkruis en deure te gaan klop om die brosjure lewensvatbaar te maak. Dat was het. Daar was nog geld gewees om tot 1988 aan te gaan maar omdat die brosjure nie uitgekom het nie, kon ons nie meer geld kry nie en ek het van my kant af het ek dit net gestop.
It enriched me going forward as a South African. And the kind of patriotism and the love of my countrymen I have today, I think I can really take it back to the 2 years we had the Akker 15, and I'm very privileged to be a part of it.
You know, to see that, guys, is for us marvelous. And to see what the world is still there for us to move forward. And I think for me in my brain to go forward with Akker, even the name is no more there, but us will be there. In the name of Akker will be there.
It made better people of us all, It real challenging circumstances that I think improved the way that we think about each other and other people.
Ja, ek het vir my kinders dit vertel. Vir die kinders gesê, ons was 1 jaar op so 'n plek met 'n span van Stellenbosch, wat span word genoem Akkers.
En ek dink daar was 'n tipe van opwelling, 'n oplewing binne in die gemeenskap, binne in die samelewing, dat veral jong mense, jy weet vir die Volvry Tour, en daar was sulke onder Afrikaanse studente 'n tipe van opwelling, 'n bewussyn dat things are about to change, something's got to give. En ons het net, we just went on the tailwinds of that thing, die op die regte tyd op die regte plek was om die dinge eentjie verder te vat.
It was the first time that I went to university at Stellenbosch since the late 80s, and it was a real enjoyable evening out.
I think it's something that makes everyone proud. It's always nice to come back, and it's nice to see change. It's nice to see how the university has kept up with what's happened in the country.
What we sort of envisaged 40 years prior more or less became true. So we're happy with the final product.
I like that.
Ek is baie trots om 'n Matie te wees en wat ek bereik het op Stellenbosch en wat ons bygedra het tot die samelewing van Stellenbosch en al die alumni. Ek dink is min wat glo dat die inisiatief 40 jaar terug daar was vir so iets en wat die gevolge daarvan was.
I feel quite proud of being a Matie alumni of those years, of that decade, of the 80s.
Having studied Stellenbosch has always given me a sense of pride.
Stellenbosch University has been good for my life.
There's a gravitas in having been here that other people don't understand.
The research and the education here, the academic excellence, the sporting excellence, and the visceral beauty of Stellenbosch and the mountains and the river. It's like the full package. And I mean, Stellenbosch is part of my DNA and always will be.
I personally think, Stellenbosch is the best university in the country.